right, we have Basit Busari. He is our guest this morning to discuss the very interesting topic. He's a legal practitioner. So glad to have you.
Good morning. Good morning, viewers.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. Now, before we even start, I would like to ask you, what is the existing law, constitution, act, protecting gunshot victims in Nigeria currently?
Thank you very much. Currently, we have the Compulsory Treatment and Care of Victims of Gunshots Act of 2017. Currently, to protect victims of gunshot wounds in Nigeria. It is.
Basit, are you there?
It is.
Yes, continue.
Okay, yes. It is currently in force in Nigeria. That is the current law protecting victims of gunshots in Nigeria. And it has been in existence since 2017. But the major problem we have is implementation in Nigeria.
All right. So now that you brought the issue of implementation up, what then do you think are the major gaps in enforcing the compulsory treatment and care for victims of Gunshot Act 2017, like you stated?
Okay. If you look at the Act provides for responsibilities of various individuals. One, the obligation of the victim itself, those that assisted him, the hospital, and the police. For the victim itself, the victim is entitled to be treated without requesting for police report. The victim is also entitled to medical care without any initial deposit. Without any initial deposit.
Okay.
Then for whoever may be rescued or rush the person to the hospital, the law provides and protects such a person from being harassed by security agencies or whoever, maybe the hospital themselves. Then on the hospital itself, there are some obligations they have to fulfill. One, they have the duty to receive gunshots victims without police report. Two, they have the duty to treat gunshot victims without taking any initial deposits. Three, they also have the duty to, after stabilizing the person, or let's say after commencement of treatment, within 2 hours of commencement of treatment, they have the duty to inform the nearest police station that we have a victim of gunshots, a patient who was shot. So they have the duty to declare to the police that they have a victim with them, but they have the duty to first of all treat the person. Then the police itself also has a duty to probably they have a duty to rush and rescue gunshot victims and take them to the hospital and allow them to be treated before inviting them for any investigation.
All right, thank you very much, Basit. So let's switch gears a little bit. So in a case whereby a hospital rejected a gunshot wound victim, what are the legal consequences? One, and in a case whereby the gunshot person dies in that facility as a result of lack of treatment, what are the legal consequences?
Yeah, thank you very much. The Compulsory Treatment Act of 2017 provides for criminal penalties for those that disobey the law. It says if any hospital rejects a patient, it stipulates the amount of fine they will be fined, and such medical doctor would also be charged to court, and is liable to a fine of 500,000 or 6 months in prison.
All right, so this is where it gets tricky now. I like to ask this now. Now, how would we be able to, or how would the law be able to ascertain that it's either the nurse or whoever is at the counter, or it's the doctor that rejected this gunshot wound patient? Because sometimes there might not be a doctor on duty at that point.
Regardless, that is why training and orientation is needed at all levels in the hospitals. Regardless of whoever rejected the person, it is an establishment. It is the hospital that rejected the person. So the hospital, whether private or public, would be liable. And personally, the persons involved will also be personally liable in their own right. So they can be charged in their own right too. Not necessarily medical doctors alone, but whoever in the facility who rejected the victim.
Okay. All right, Basit, just before you came on board, Olumide told us a story of a family friend who had died from gunshot wounds. You know, he was shot in church by armed robbers, taken to 4 different hospitals, was rejected, and died on his way to the 5th one. Now, this is my question. How can victims or their families, victims that get to live, how do they or their families seek justice when a loved one dies due to delayed medical attention? What I want you to do for us is to walk us through the steps that people who are aggrieved can take in order that justice is given them.
Okay, thank you very much. There are 2 ways to these things. There is the criminal aspect of it, and there is the civil aspect of it. Let's take the civil first. For the civil aspect of it, under tort, an hospital owes its patients a duty of care to treat them to the best of their capacity and offer them the best services. So if it can be established that it was due to their negligence or due to their negligence which resulted in the death of such a person, there is relief for them under civil law by taking such people to court and requesting for damages for what they have done. Now, under the criminal aspect, number 1, I've mentioned the Compulsory Treatment of Gunshot Victims Act 2017, which criminalizes any person who rejects gunshot victims. Then even under our criminal law, if there are provisions, other criminal provisions, that if you commit an act of negligence, which such negligence results to the death of another person, then you can be charged to court on the criminal aspect.
All right, thank you very much. Now, we all know that there's this mistrust between healthcare facility and healthcare practitioners rather and law enforcement. So how can this be addressed? How can we address this issue of mistrust between the healthcare sector and the law enforcement, regarding gunshot cases?
Okay, basically, like I said, training, sensitization, and awareness. Because the truth is, not so many people are aware of the Act or even the Compulsory Treatment Act 2017, and those that are even aware does not really know how the law operates. So, if then the regulatory body of the doctors, the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria, this is where they can come into to constantly train their members and constantly interface with the law enforcement agencies to be on the same page in respect of this law.
All right, so, well, I'm going to ask this question. I know you've said it repeatedly, but I want us to be clear as we begin to wrap this up. So let me ask again, how does the right to life protected by the Constitution override the requirement for a police report in gunshot emergencies? You said that's why there's an Act 2017, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So could you
Yes, yes.
could you just give us a clear answer as to that as we begin to wrap this up? The right to life overriding the need for a police report, so that whole hospitals who are listening can take their cue.
Yes, the right to life is sacrosanct, as enshrined in our constitution. And even aside from being right to life, it is humanity first. When you say a victim, a gunshot wound is an emergency, which you have a duty under the law and even the medical line to attend to as soon as possible, because every minute counts when it comes to gunshot wound. So the right to life, as enshrined in our constitution, says they must treat the person. It's from that right to life that other laws, like the compulsory treatment of gunshot victims, flows from. So medical facility, either public or private, have a duty to treat victims of gunshots whenever they are brought to their facility. All right. They must receive them and treat them without any initial deposits.
Okay.
That's what the law says.
All right. Okay, before we go, in less than a minute, let me ask this. Have there been any recent court cases that tested this particular gunshot law, and what were the outcomes? If you are peradventure happen to witness this particular court case.
Well, there are, because when it comes medical negligence is another area of law where they are specialists on. Medical negligence. When
Basit, are you there? I think we lost it, but I think
so there are a lot of cases on especially medical negligence.
All right, thank you very much.
There are a lot of cases on medical negligence. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Basit. But you have been very brilliant, and we actually enjoyed this particular talk because Nigerians need to know what is really happening. But thank you very much for your thoughts this morning.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right.